Good afternoon, everybody. It's good to see you. It's Friday again, and it's another beautiful day. It's a little chilly out, but sun's coming out, and walking in this morning, the birds are really starting to go off. So you know, spring is here. Last week we talked about the liver and how the liver affects our overall being, and mostly how it affects our fertility as well. And I had some questions, and we could definitely spend a lot more time on that, on the liver and how it affects our health and our fertility. But I'm just trying to generally give a over overview of each organ system. So today we're going to talk about the heart and how the heart affects you and how it affects fertility. So it's a very simple organ, energetically speaking, and but very complex in a lot of ways too. The heart, its main focus is to govern the blood. So the heart kind of looks over the blood. It's responsible for moving it, pumping it through the system, but it also looks over it. And it's also believed in Chinese medicine that the heart houses the mind. So what happens with the heart affects the mind. And the heart also has a channel, a pathway that it shares with other organ systems, and it opens up into the uterus. So there's lots of blood in the uterus, and the heart has a function or a role to play in that as well. So heart, I guess one of the things I'd like to lead with is the heart. This is interesting, and there's documentation of it. And I love to like go on the fringes a little bit and talk about some of the fringe stuff that we see or we hear about. But I'm going to talk about specifically about heart transfer recipients. And so there is documented cases where if a person is to receive a heart transplant, there are times, and it's documented, that recipient will pick up characteristics of the donor. Isn't that crazy, right? Like, who in the world would think an organ transplant or an organ specifically would have a memory of the previous body, previous life? But it does. And it's been seen time and time again. You'll see people that receive a heart transfer, and they will all of a sudden, out of nowhere, have um, have interests in other and things that they never would have had interest in, different kinds of music, different kinds of hobbies, culture, whatnot. And come to find out, the person that donated the heart was very involved in those musics or in those cultures or in those hobbies. So in Chinese medicine, the heart governs the mind. And it's time and time again, it's proven. So it's so important to have a good, healthy heart system, heart energy. It's full of love. You gotta make sure you keep that love strong, keep your love light on, and try not to let external factors mostly get you down. Now, the liver we talked about last week. If your liver is very sluggish and slow, and you have a lot of qi stagnation, it can affect the liver, right? So you're not getting as much blood moving, you're not getting as much qi moving. And so if you have qi stagnation or heart blood stagnation, heart qi stagnation, that can affect how it opens up into the uterus, right? And so we want to make sure that we keep your heart systems as healthy as possible. And if you have a slower heart chi or heart blood moving, that can affect the pituitary function or the hypothalamic function of ovulation, or even I'm not quite sure, but even I would think of the fallopian tubes, as how they function. So it's important to keep your heart strong and healthy, as it is any other organ system, but this specifically, we're talking about the heart. So a couple of factors that can really affect the heart are emotional stresses, right? So you can get it from both sides. If you're having high stress or high emotional stress, that can put a lot of burden on your heart, also put a lot of burden on your lungs, which we will talk about next week. And it can also put a lot of burden on your liver. So you have this cycle, this feeding cycle that can start to slow chi and blood. And in the heart, if you're stressed out, you're gonna have some heart stagnation, and that's gonna affect everything. So you really need to keep your heart strong. So I don't like to give too much, treatment advice, you know, on a large platform. I would love to speak to people individually. But one thing I can say is one herb that has been proven time and time again to help keep heart chi moving, your heart blood strong, is hawthorn. And you can get it just about anywhere over the counter. You can get it anywhere from Nature Time, which is a local herb dispensary, or you can get it right from your Chinese herbalist, or Walmart for that matter. And it comes in many different forms. It comes in paste form, and it comes in tablet form. I don't know if it comes in liquid form, but it may. I encourage the paste form because it breaks down a little bit easier, and it tastes good. To be honest with you, it's sweet. So keep that in mind, and try to keep your love strong, right? So the liver, we talked about last week, is responsible for a lot of tough emotions, right? Like if you get stagnant, you're full of anger, right, and a little snappy, and that can affect the flow of chi and blood, right, and that affects your heart, and and then that'll affect your mind, and so it feeds in on itself, and so now you're finding, a little bit more despair, or sadness, or anxiety. So that's why it's important to keep all the functions, all the organ functions solid. So keeping your heart strong, just remember, it doesn't hurt to sing, doesn't hurt to laugh, doesn't hurt to smile. Those are all loving, positive, reinforcing things you can do for your heart energy. Keeping your heart energy open, saying yes a lot. Someone comes up to you and says, hey, could you please, you know, change this room real quick? I'm busy. Well, I'm busy too, but yes, I can, because I really can. I can. And just that paradigm shift of being able to say, yes, I can, is so much easier. You'll breathe easier, you'll feel better, and you'll feel more loved. I mean, just showing the love. So keep that in mind moving into next week. It's definitely heart is more of a summer organ. It's really strong into the summer, and we're still in early spring. So we're still deeply rooted into the liver functions. But as we move into summer, you'll keep that in mind. And I'm not quite sure. I'm sure there's a million things I could talk about with the heart, but I think in regards to fertility, and we need to keep on track with fertility, keeping your heart energy strong, keeping the blood strong is going to help the uterus, right? It's going to help regulate all your ovulation and your menstruation, all those good things. So remember, be the change you want to see in the world, right? So be that leader, be that change. And we'll see you next week. Thank you.